Hello, you lovely lot, and welcome to another whiskey review with me, the Whiskey Novice. It is review number 253, and we're looking at Glencadam. Glencadam Reserva de Porto Branco, the white port cask finish. Woo! 46%, non-chill filter, no colour added. I bought this bottle at time of recording about a week ago. I'm just going to go straight out and say it. I'll admit I've given a couple of samples out of it. There you go. I have given a couple of samples out of it, but I'm liking it a lot. I generally wouldn't rush in, not really rushing, but I generally wouldn't sort of hit a bottle that quick. I would give it more time, but I have fallen passionately and madly in love with this whiskey already. It's been too easy to drink, and all I've wanted to do is drink this and nothing else. So Glencadam I was already a fan of, having really probably only tried the 10 in fairness, the Glencadam 10-year-old, certainly out of their core range stuff. I don't know what even attracted me to this. I literally one evening decided to click on their website, and all of a sudden all these fancy new finishes popped up. Which I'm saying you, dear knows, they've maybe been there forever and I just never looked. But this was the one I plumped for them. So I maybe already said it, 46%, non-chill filtered, no colour added, white port finish. Shall we do it then? I'll explain to you. I'll explain to you what I've fallen in love with. Lovely, fresh fruit, yet whiskey-ish. You know, it's still whiskey. We can stand here all day and tell you that it smells like sweets and custard creams and etc., but it's still, I mean, whiskey smells like whiskey with all of that other stuff in. That's what we want, and that's what this smells like. Non-peated whiskey. It's when malted barley is done right. And it should always be done right to be whiskey. I want to be able to smell it. I still want to be able to smell that grain in there somewhere. And it's here all over it. It's not just somewhere. This actually smells like Maltesers when you dig a little deeper. I'm not going to say it smells like Maltesers and that's it. But it's in there. I'm sure most of us know what Maltesers are. If you don't, just Google it. And you can also smell the wine finish. You can smell that white port finish. This is actually, I think, one of the things that I fall in love with here is how simple this whiskey is. It's not massively complex. However, what is going on in it is huge. Everything that is, you know, so that I said about the barley, I want it to smell the grain that's in there. And I can clearly smell it. But that white port, not that I've had an awful lot of white port, but you just know that that fortified wine has played its part. And what is that part? Well, it's balance. It's balancing this out and stopping it being just one-dimensional. Bringing a second dimension in. But they play so well together. So well together. This is just a I'm going to suggest, built whiskey. You know, fair play to Glencadam. They've got it right here. Oh yeah. Sweet and sour delivery. This is one that I would suggest, and I'm going to say it now. I was going to do it later, but I'll do it now and get it out of the way. I have reviewed an awful lot of sherry, wine, fortified wine, port, etc. You know, any sort of wine or fortified wine, finished whiskies of late. It's very difficult nowadays not to. So many of them are finished that way. This is an example, and a fine example, of a whiskey using fortified wine casks for balance. And I know I'm maybe simplifying this, but to perfection. I think if this were just ex-bourbon cask, it would be great, but it would be lacking of something. Finishing it off in those white port casks have added that something. And that something is just citrus and cooking apple. But there's a depth, an incredible depth. It's actually very hard to put my finger on what it is that I'm tasting. But it just keeps coming. Wood, yes. I cannot actually put my finger on what it is. There's a grassy note, yes. The malt element, the Maltesers, chocolate, yes. Dry, goes a little dry in a good way, because I'm convinced that if this didn't go dry, it would just, it almost feels like as if it needs to. That's a little hard to explain, but it almost feels like as if it needs to peter out when it does. Sometimes it's hard to explain a whiskey without just saying, I love this. I really, 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 really like this. It's fruity, it's malty, it's never got the finish there. It's got a decent long finish, a little hot, but it's, yes, a little hot, a little dry, but certainly moreish. I just don't know. As I said, I like it an awful lot, and I can't quite put my finger on what it is in particular that I like about it. And I would recommend. So you know, it is hard to avoid those wine finishes. I know there's an awful lot of just ex-bourbon cask matured stuff out there, but I don't know. I tend to lean towards some of the wine finishes as well. I think this is beautiful. I really do. There's so much of that maltiness. This to me is what I like in a whiskey. There's an awful lot of that maltiness going on. The fruit is fresh and clean. Apples. Oh, very much apples now. Oh, it's beautiful. It's weird. I'll say it again. It really does it needs that dry element of it. I don't know why. I'm struggling to explain to you why. There's hints of cardboard in the palate now. Yes, there is a woody, oaky note. It's thick. It's moreish. It's creamy. It's creme brulee. That's what the note was that I couldn't put my finger on. It's creme brulee. It's burnt sugar. It's that element. It's that element of creme brulee. It's the bitter burnt sugar note. It works so well. It really does. Finish still good. Still quality. Yeah, love it. Not too expensive. It's about £50 a bottle, this. I'd pay that for non-aged stated whiskey of this quality. So then, what would I suggest to you as an alternative? Well, actually, it wasn't that terribly difficult. It was this one from Glen Scotia, the Campbelltown Malts Festival bottling from 2023, and for me personally, that was another cracker of a whiskey. And just whenever I tried the Glencadam, almost instantly was reminded of the Glen Scotia. There's similarities, but they're different enough to merit both in your collection, I would suggest. The Glencadam, as a matter of fact, the thing about it is this Glen Scotia is probably already off the market. I'm not quite sure. It was a limited edition. I can't remember off the top of my head what it was limited to. My eyesight's not good enough to go into that right now. But I would almost lean toward the Glencadam here. The Glen Scotia, fantastic. That's not me saying that Glen Scotia wasn't amazing. Just that the Glencadam's more readily available, and at the price is lovely. It's just lovely in my opinion. There's a dirtiness about it as well. Yeah, fantastic. Fair play to the ones at Glencadam. Angus Dundee know what they're doing. Here we go. Right, I'll leave it at that. Say thank you very much for joining me. Thank you very much to my patrons. Should anybody wish to join that group, the details are in the video description below. I'll be back next time with something else. Until then, look after yourselves. You're still good health. Cheers.
Hey, thanks for watching my video. Please click and subscribe to be notified of further content.